What if the happiest day of Janelle Brown's life almost turned into the most explosive moment in Sister Wives history? Insiders claim a familiar car was stopped at the gate, security went on high alert, and a past she tried to leave behind may have tried to force its way back in. What happened outside the venue was shocking, but what happened inside broke hearts and changed everything. Stay with us, because this story only gets deeper and the truth unfolds piece by piece. The night was supposed to be calm, intentional, and protected, yet according to multiple reports, it became the most emotionally charged moment the Brown family has faced in years. Because while Janelle prepared to step into a future built on peace, something from the past allegedly tried to circle back, and those who were present say the energy outside the venue shifted before anyone inside ever knew what was happening. Sources claim that roughly half an hour before the ceremony began, a gray convertible resembling one long associated with Cody Brown was seen approaching the secured perimeter, and that single sighting was enough to place the entire security team on immediate alert. This was not a public celebration. This was a deliberately private location chosen for safety, privacy, and emotional stability, and every detail had been planned with that priority in mind. Insiders say the security was privately hired and given strict instructions to allow only pre-approved guests with no exceptions, because this event represented more than a wedding. It represented a boundary. And when the vehicle reportedly attempted to advance past the first checkpoint, security intervened calmly, professionally, and without escalation. But what followed has now become the subject of intense speculation and discussion, because sources allege the driver claimed a personal justification for entry, suggesting a connection to the family and an emotional reason to be present. But that explanation did not change the outcome, because the list was final and the rules were clear. And according to those close to the situation, the decision to deny access was reinforced by Janelle's inner circle, including her children, who were deeply invested in protecting their mother from unnecessary stress. And that is where the symbolism of this moment becomes undeniable, because for years, control and authority defined the family dynamic. Yet in this instance, authority was not demanded, it was refused. The vehicle allegedly remained stopped for several tense moments, and witnesses described the atmosphere as heavy but contained. No shouting, no chaos, just a firm, unmoving line. And eventually, the car turned away and left the area. And what makes this moment so powerful is that while it unfolded outside the gates, something entirely different was taking shape inside, because within the venue, there was no awareness of conflict, only anticipation, joy, and a quiet reverence for the journey that led everyone there. And as guests took their seats, the ceremony began with an emotional weight that could be felt immediately, because at the front row, a single empty chair stood in clear view, and it was not overlooked or hidden, it was placed with intention. Insiders describe a framed photograph resting there, representing love, remembrance, and presence even in absence. And that chair became the emotional center of the entire event, because it acknowledged loss without allowing it to overshadow joy. And for many attendees, that moment was when emotions finally surfaced, because it reminded everyone that this family has endured real pain, not just televised conflict. But irreversible loss. And observers say the reaction among the siblings was deeply moving, particularly those who shared a close bond with the memory being honored. Yet, rather than breaking apart, they stood together, allowing the moment to exist fully. And that collective strength marked a turning point, because it showed healing, not through denial, but through acceptance. And notably, Janelle's partner did not attempt to fill any space that was not his. He stood beside her respectfully, allowing her children to lead the moment. And that quiet support spoke volumes about the foundation of this new relationship, a foundation rooted in respect rather than dominance. And as the ceremony continued, a moment of silence was observed. And in that stillness, the contrast between inside and outside became unmistakable. Because inside, there was peace, unity, and shared understanding, while outside, what had been turned away represented a past defined by control and unresolved tension. And by the time the vows were spoken, the earlier incident had already lost its power, because it had been contained and neutralized. And what remained was clarity. This wedding was not about exclusion, it was about protection and choice. And as Janelle walked forward, she did so surrounded by people who respected her boundaries and honored her journey. And that is why this moment is being described as historic, because it marked the first time the narrative was fully in her hands and nothing from the past was allowed to interrupt it. As the ceremony concluded and transitioned into celebration, the atmosphere inside the venue transformed completely, and those present describe it as a release years in the making. Because once the sense of protection was confirmed, joy was finally allowed to take center stage. And the reception was not restrained or cautious. It was vibrant, intentional, and emotionally charged in the best possible way. Insiders say the music, the lighting, and the energy all reflected a deliberate shift away from the past and towards something freer and lighter. And when the speeches began, it became clear that this was not just a celebration of a marriage, but a recognition of survival and growth. Christine was among the first to speak, and according to attendees, her words were carefully chosen, warm and affirming, focusing on themes of being seen, being valued, and finally being supported. And while no names were mentioned, everyone in the room understood the deeper meaning behind those words, and the response was immediate with applause, tears, and nods of shared understanding, because the people closest to Janelle had witnessed the journey firsthand and knew what it took for her to arrive at this moment. And when Janelle's partner spoke, his message was simple yet powerful, centering entirely on her character, her intelligence, her humor, and her strength. He did not position himself as a replacement for anything. He positioned himself as a companion, and that distinction resonated deeply with the guests because it demonstrated confidence without control and support without ownership. And throughout the evening, observers noted how relaxed Janelle appeared, how present she was in her joy, something that had often been overshadowed in the past. And the dance floor quickly became a symbol of that transformation as she was surrounded by her children, laughing, moving freely, and celebrating without restraint. And this image of a mother encircled by love became one of the most talked about moments of the night because it represented everything that had changed. And while the celebration continued quietly, conversations circulated about the earlier incident, with speculation that legal boundaries had been established in advance to ensure the day remained undisturbed. And while nothing has been publicly confirmed, sources suggest that formal notices may have been issued, reinforcing the seriousness of the security response and adding weight to the decision to deny access. And as the night progressed, rumors intensified that production cameras may have captured activity near the perimeter, with insiders claiming that secondary footage exists, documenting the interaction outside the venue. And if true, this would mark a pivotal moment, not because of drama, but because of symbolism, the moment when boundaries held and autonomy prevailed. And discussions are reportedly ongoing about what may or may not be shown, but regardless of what appears on screen, the impact of the day is already sealed, because the celebration ended not with tension, but with clarity. And after guests departed, what remained was a sense of closure and purpose. And in the days that followed, insiders claim communication attempts from the past were met with silence, a silence that spoke louder than any response, because it signaled the end of engagement and the beginning of distance. And what this wedding ultimately represented was not division, but evolution, a movement away from dynamics rooted in control toward relationships built on mutual respect, choice, and emotional safety. And the empty chair remained the most powerful symbol of all, reminding everyone that loss changes perspective, that some things matter more than pride, and that healing requires boundaries. And while speculation will continue and footage may surface or remain unseen, the truth of that day stands firm. This was not just a wedding, it was the moment the narrative changed permanently and the future was claimed without apology. Janelle Brown's wedding aftermath was just beginning, and the story that started at the gate with the gray convertible didn't end with the doors closing. It extended into messages, calls, and potential legal battles that insiders claim reveal the full extent of the chaos Cody Brown allegedly tried to unleash in a moment when the family had just begun to breathe and heal. According to multiple sources, in the days following the wedding, Cody reportedly sent an overwhelming number of text messages to Hunter, Gabriel, and the other boys, messages filled with accusations of betrayal, claims that their mother was alienating them, and attempts to rewrite history, casting himself as a victim in a situation where he was clearly the aggressor. The boys reportedly did not respond to these messages, which is consistent with the pattern we have seen throughout the series, where silence became the strongest form of boundary and respect for the personal growth Janelle had achieved. This silence itself became a statement, a refusal to engage in the cycle of manipulation that had defined so much of the family dynamic for years. Meanwhile, legal experts suggest that, if documented, these attempts could support harassment claims that would solidify the protective measures taken at the wedding and possibly influence future court decisions surrounding visitation and communication policies. Insider speculation indicates that Robin may have been complicit in the attempts to insert Cody into situations where he was not welcome, although there are no official statements. Her alleged presence at the gate has become a topic of intense discussion among fans and social media observers, creating a narrative where she is seen as attempting to mediate while simultaneously reinforcing Cody's sense of entitlement. The ripple effect of the wedding day continued to reach other family members and friends who reported being deeply moved by the empty chair tribute. The symbolism of the chair reportedly became a focal point for reflection on grief, love, and resilience, and this in turn strengthened the collective bond between Janelle and her sons. Observers noted that the choreography of the reception, with the dance floor circles and protective rings around Janelle, created a visual reinforcement of the emotional message that boundaries matter, that love is protective, and that joy can coexist with memory. While some might assume that a wedding is a purely celebratory event, this case demonstrates how a personal milestone can become a turning point in a family saga, one that is meticulously planned both legally and emotionally to protect the participants and ensure that the narrative is controlled. Insiders report that the new husband's presence and behavior throughout the reception demonstrated an understanding of these delicate dynamics. He did not attempt to override the tribute to Garrison. He did not seek the spotlight. He respected the hierarchy of emotion and history in a way that reinforced the stability that Janelle had built around herself and her children. The narrative contrast between Cody's outside desperation and the inside harmony of the event is striking. And according to sources, the footage allegedly captured by TLC cameras stationed at the perimeter of the venue shows him in a state of frustration, arguing with security personnel. The interaction reportedly included both audio and visual components, capturing his shouting and the calm professionalism of the security team, which underscores the stark difference between an individual trying to exert control and a team enforcing boundaries. The existence of this footage has reportedly caused a scramble among legal teams on both sides, with Cody's representatives sending cease and desist letters to prevent broadcast, claiming privacy violations, while the network's legal counsel is reviewing the contractual agreements, which likely include consent to be filmed while in public areas leading up to the private venue. Insiders suggest that, if aired, this footage could serve as definitive evidence of Cody's refusal to respect legal and personal boundaries, amplifying the public perception of the family dynamics. For fans who have followed the series for nearly 2 decades, the visual juxtaposition of the empty chair, the celebratory dance floor, and the gray car outside creates a compelling narrative of separation, of past trauma and present joy. Further reports indicate that discussions among the Brown siblings in private messages centered on a collective understanding that the empty chair and the security measures were not only protective, but also symbolic of taking ownership over their family history and reinforcing their agency in deciding who is present in their lives. One insider claims that the boys shared a private moment during the reception, acknowledging that their mother had created a space. This wedding was never just about saying "I do." It was about drawing a line that could not be crossed. The gate held the past stayed out, and inside, love, grief, and freedom finally shared the same space. The empty chair reminded everyone what truly matters, and the celebration proved that healing is possible when boundaries are honored. This was the moment the story changed forever.